All right, so chapter 11 was all about personal pronouns. So that's first person, second person, and third person personal pronouns. Also, their use of is, id as demonstratives, and lastly, the dim pronouns, the tack on there is to refer to the same of something. So hopefully by this you should be familiar with, ego, mihi, mihi, me, mihi, me, tui, tibi, te, all that should be second nature to you. If not, we'll go through these exercises to help you out. So number 2 from the exercises. Just like any other sentence, we find our verb. We find our nouns. Find our pronouns. 2 should be pretty obvious to you at this point. Another pronoun here, even though it kind of looks like an adjective. And will serve kind of like an adjective. Okay. So a couple pronouns, couple nouns in the sentence, nothing too bad. So starting with our verb, like always, nothing different now that we're using pronouns than nouns. Amas, it comes from amo, amare. So what have we done? We've dropped the re, we've added an s. So guess what? That is just second person singular. Singular present, right? You are loving. And weirdly enough, we're talking about you as our subject, and guess what we have? We have 2. It's nominative singular form, right? It's 2, you. It's not vos. So we know our subject is you, right? Adverb, nothing special there. Filium, comes from philia, I. First declension, gets you down to the bottom left, and we get accusative singular, feminine. Philia meaning daughter. Pretty straightforward noun adjective agreement here. Same deal. Accusative singular, feminine. Eius is the interesting one here. Hopefully I have this chart for you. Yeah, I think so. So we are down in the bottom of this chart. So from the bottom of this chart, we're looking for E-I-U-S. E-I-U-S. And guess what? We find ourselves as genitive singular. Kind of similar to the unus nata and the genitive singular, right? We have E-I-U-S for the genitive singular and E-I for the dative singular. So very similar to unus nata that you've learned in the last chapters and been using. And lastly, nucleus adverb means now at this time. So putting this all together, you are the subject of the sentence. So 2, you, right? You. What are you doing? You love. Actually, I'll start with the adverb. Moreover, autumn. You love, present. Who are you loving? The accusative thing, the filium, and not just the filium, the beaton, beatum. Beaton, probably. The blessed daughter. Did I miss anything? I did. The eius, yeah? So eius is a genitive singular. We know it comes from, is, id, the he, she, it. Genitive singular here. We had to do a little bit of picking out here, since it could be any gender, but we'll go ahead and take it as a masculine. I think that's a safe bet. If you're not sure, usually masculine is the safe bet. So not just the blessed daughter, but it's a possessive, so we can say his, right? That person's. The father, assuming that. Now, and then now at this time, right? So that's it, right? We've used demonstrative pronouns, we've used personal pronouns, we've used personal pronouns as demonstrative pronouns. So, nothing too special here. So now we come to number 5, where we have something a little more special. Number 5, we have imperatives in the sentence. Hopefully, I don't think we've really reviewed imperatives directly so far, but they're on the verb chart on how to form them. And typically, you drop just the re, or you drop the re and add a te if it's plural. I can pull it up, but yeah. So typically, just in the middle of the section there on how to form imperatives, they are direct address commands. So this is where we need to look out for vocative cases. So another thing that we haven't discussed that much. So vocative cases are when we have specifically direct address. I'm addressing you, this person. You have different endings. Sometimes they're the same as the nominative singular, sometimes they're not. It really depends. But you see them pretty much the only time you see vocative is with a command or some sort of direct speech. I had to be calling out this person. So, thankfully, vocative is on our noun chart. So, starting out with the sentence, we have a couple harder to pick out verbs, and they're in weird spots. Would you expect a verb to be here? I wouldn't, right? The only thing that really clues us in is the commas. And if you're getting there, you can see the vocative. So, another weird one, that doesn't really look like a verb to me, A lot of times the verbs end in T or vowels or whatnot. So now we go and we underline. Underline nouns, do squiggly for the pronouns, prepositions. Wow, look at that. We're really full in this sentence. So we're gonna have to break it down. So winning, I've got this in your vocab at the bottom here. But winning, it comes from winio, winire, fourth declension, or fourth conjugation. So what have we done to winning here? We have dropped the re, and that's it, right? We dropped the re, and we haven't added anything else, right? Usually we add an ending. Well, if you look at your verb chart there, right in the middle, you'll see that for the imperative command, we just drop the re, and we get the singular imperative. So to someone in particular, we get the imperative that is singular. Similarly, we've taken duc here. We dropped ducere. We dropped the re. This is a little bit irregular here. I believe so, unless I wrote it down wrong. Yeah. Duc is a little irregular as an imperative, but it is also an imperative. Singular. Last verb, not drop the re. We've actually dropped the re and added bo. So bottom left, amare, first conjugation. So we're using bo. So that is first person, singular, future. All right. So now we'll do our nouns. So amicae. That's interesting. Comes from amicus. E, second declension. And where do we see an actual E, letter E, ending in this second declension? Well, there's only one actual choice, and that's down in that vocative, which we should be, alert for since we have these commands. So this is probably the first time that I've used vocative in terms of these videos here. But this is singular vocative. We're calling out this friend specifically. And that's because I'm commanding him, right? I'm telling him to do something. And this is still masculine. However, the pronoun next to it, me, they're divided by commas, so they look like they go together, right? But they don't have the same ending. That's kind of weird, don't you think? But if we pull up our personal pronoun chart here, and we drop our declension chart, you can see up in the personal ego mihi me, I actually don't have it, actually. You can't see it. The vocative form of that, and it should be in your book, is going to end in an I. My mistake. But this is likewise vocative. my friend, right? Not just a friend. So I'll go ahead and translate the first couple words here. So Vinny means to come or go. So we're going to say come here. Or come along. Come, my friend. I'm speaking to him. Et and Duke, command again, telling him to lead me. And that actually brings us into the next one. It's ego mihi me in order of cases. So this could be accusative or ablative. There's no prepositions really going on here, and it makes a lot of sense for it to follow this. So this is our direct object. And lead me. Well, where do I want you to lead me? Well, there's where our preposition gets in. Odd, to the object, discipulum, discipula, I, feminine, a female student. So this is accusative singular. Maybe this takes an accusative. To the student, but not just the student, eius discipulum. What do we see up here for eius? His, right, or her, either whatever gender, we'll say is, or his. But eius, we know from our personal pronoun chart, has to be genitive singular. And it's a possessive onto discipulum. To whose discipulum? His student. Literally, amabote, we translate that as I will love you, right? I will love you. But really it means like please. But literally it means I will love you. Yeah, in return for doing that. It's kind of a turn of speech. All right, so number 11. A little less wordy here, but still a couple interesting facts or interesting things going on in this sentence. Find our verb. Found our nouns. Found our pronouns. Find our prepositional phrases. I'm gonna actually, it's all the way over there. Help you out there, but okay. In can also take a ablative or accusative. Either one. If you're using in or into. Okay, so starting with our verb. Envenimus. I've got it on your vocab in the bottom of the screen here, but envenio, envenere, envenire, sorry. We've dropped an RE and we've added MUS. So guess what? That has put us over in the present system. Nothing too special going on here. And I'll throw up your chart there for you, but we are then present, first person, plural. So we, us, is the subject. So I don't see a nos, so I'll go ahead and supply one. So we find or discover. Let's say find. Other nouns going on here. Tomorrow. It's a fear or a dread. Timor, timoris. As you see there, masculine. It's a third declension noun. So third declension, em ending, puts us down in the accusative space. Masculine. Which is important because we have illum right next to it. Illum comes from aleala allude, from this chart right here. I know we're referencing a lot of charts here, but it's fine. Top of this chart here, for aleala allude, the only thing that has illum is the nominative, or sorry, the accusative singular. Yep, the accusative singular, masculine. And that agrees, as it should, as a demonstrative pronoun, right? With whatever noun it's talking about. Right, so that tomorrow, not just any tomorrow. We find that fear, right? That dread. This specific one. Let's say fear. And then, as I pointed out here to try to clear things up, but this prepositional phrase is the last bit of the sentence, and it's the extraneous information. Wero is our other noun, so we'll start there. Comes from weirus, right? Man. Second declension. We're looking for an O, so declension chart. We're looking for an O. So guess what? We have two options. We have a dative, or we have an ablative. So guess what? That is with our preposition being right next to us. It's a pretty good guess that we will have an ablative. An ablative singular masculine. Uno here is an adjective. Unis nata. Nothing special, however. It's not genitive or dative. So that's even more, we know this is ablative, singular masculine. So that's even more to support our ablative choice here. The last thing we've got going on is hot, in terms of hot, or hot, I guess. My bad. Hot. We're on this chart here. Sorry, I've got my own personal going alongside us. But we're on this chart here, hot. And we're down in the middle of the bottom area. So we're looking for HOC. HOC gets us down the ablative singular, right? Nothing else. HOC with a macron, right? We should have hope, not a singular, if it didn't have that macron. So again, ablative singular. Any gender, but probably masculine, right? With everything around it. Right, and that's piling onto Wero there. So, hot means this, uno means one, Wero means man, so in this one man, in this one guy, in this one dude. In this one man, singular man. All right, and I've got a big one for you for number 13, so get ready. So, number 13, we do have a semicolon, thankfully. So we'll start with the first half of the sentence, right? Everything before the semicolon. So grab our verb. I've already done that. Anything else looking out to you? No other verbs from what I can see. A couple of adverbs. Might be harder to pick out. I'm not sure if etienne is actually classed as an adverb or a conjunction. Similarly, the conjunction. I might have honestly written that down wrong if I put that in your vocab. The conjunction. Interestingly enough, we have the non solum, which we've seen before, right? That not only, so solum is not an adjective here, solum is an adverb here. Okay, so we've actually identified quite a bit of these, and quite a bit of them are adverbs, right? So, what are the nouns and pronouns in this half of the sentence? Well, studium is one, popuniae is one, voluptatis is one, homines is one. Okay, so now we go to our verb trahit. It comes from traho, trahere, so we've dropped an re, but we're actually over here in the third conjugation. So we have a special vowel change. So trahit gets you to the present, not some other tense. Trial hit, present. Third person, singular. So we have a singular subject. Starting with studium. So studium, I've written there, is studium, studii. So we are down here. And the second declension neuter, studium, studii, we're at the first part of the sentence. It's a good guess that we won't be accusative, but not a singular neuter. But if we have issues, remember that that could be accusative. Non solum, adverbs, petunii, okay. We have petunii. It could be a lot of things, right? We know that that is petunia, petunii, dative / genitive singular. Oscillative nominative plural is an option. However, we know from the verb our subject is singular. The last one here is voluptatis. Comes from voluptas, voluptatis, easy enough. We just were given that that is the genitive singular form, right? Okay. The last noun in the sentence is homines. Homines comes from hominis. Hominis, I actually don't have that in your vocab. Hominis. It is a third declension noun. So homines gets us either accusative plural or nominative plural. Our verb is singular, so we know that this has to be accusative plural, or should be accusative plural. So we've done all of that, right? Quite a long haul for just one half of the phrase here. But we know what our subject is. We know it is the studium, which actually study is not quite a good one, but the eagerness or zeal. Write that with some decent handwriting. The zeal, not only petunii. So this is where you have to take dative or genitive. And I'm not really seeing anything from the verb or anything in the sentence that indicates an indirect object is going to be here. So we're going to take this as a genitive, but if we come across issues, we might have to refer back. So I won't cross it out yet. Of money. But also, but even, but also, voluptatis. This is definitely genitive. So I think it reinforces our choice here because we have parallel construction kind of with the not only but also. But also voluptatis, the desire, right? The of pleasure. And what is it doing? The zeal, what does it do? It drags. It charms might be a good use, a regular use, but charms. You know, it pulls along. It entices. It charms. What? It charms who? Men, right? Humans. And too much, right? Nimium. Too much. Too often. Too much. More of an amount here. Okay. And I'll move this around a bit. That way we can write for our second half. So for the second half, pick out our verb. Possunt. Don't forget the noun. Possunt here. I'm going to tighten this up a bit. Ventere, it's another one. This one should be easy. It's an infinitive. Nouns. Pronouns. Oh, that's not a pronoun. This is a pronoun. These are adjectives. Okay. Yeah, right. That looks like adverb there. I meant to say adjective. Okay. So, we've seen that Ollie before. I'm not sure if it was this chapter. Yeah, I think it was last chapter, so refer back to that for another use if you're interested. but it is when we're talking about a group of people. If we use ollie, we're saying some of them and the other part of them, right? So some part of them, some group of them, of a singular group, some group subset is doing this, some other subset is doing that. So some and other is a good way to take that. Ollie is an adjective, but it is a substantive adjective. We are subbing in as a nominative plural here for people, right? Some people, it's masculine. Same deal over here. Some people, other people. Now doing our verb, posunt, straightforward. Pos plus sunt gets you third person, plural, present. Likewise. And the last two we have is cupiditates and eos. Cupiditates comes from cupiditas, cupididatus, sorry. Third declension noun from your declension chart down there. As gets you either es ending, gets you either accusative or nominative plural. We do have a plural noun or a plural verb, so we can't just knock it out. So I'll write both options here in case we're wrong about the ollie and there's something different going on. But I'm fairly confident, because we've seen ollie before, this is common, that this is being taken as an accusative. So I'll cross it out for now, but if we have issues, we'll go back. So the last one here is eos. Using that trick that I mentioned about demonstrative pronouns, they typically, in plural, they decline with endings just like first, second declension. So if we were looking for as, we would see that that would make us plural, accusative, feminine. If we wanted to check that, if we're not sure, this chart here. So if we looked at this chart here, towards the bottom, I believe, yeah, towards the bottom, we're looking for EAS. The only option that I see, correct me if I'm wrong, is plural, feminine, accusative. And look at that, it's what we had. So memorizing your chart by just memorizing the chart you already had, right? We hopefully have our first, second declensions memorized, and so we don't have to stretch too much in terms of incorporating these pronouns. So while we're that, we've done everything in the sentence. All we have to do is put it together. So like I said, we usually say some and the other. So some people, I'll say people, some people. Let me drop this chart here so you can read already. Some people, what are they doing? They are able to do what? To conquer, defeat, overcome, I think is, again, a little better. We're not really outright to a person here. Overcome what? Eos cupiditate. So not just overcome the desires, their greed, but their greed, right? Cupiditates is a feminine, right? And notice here that the eos is not agreeing with our subject, the alii in gender number case, but is, as a pronoun, is agreeing with our object, right? It's agreeing with cupiditates. It's not agreeing with aliis, even though it's the there is referring to the alii, right? It's their desires, the people's desires. It agrees with the thing that it's being the demonstrative pronoun towards. So that's an important distinction to make. To overcome their desires. So we are talking about the same people when we say some and their, but they just they agree differently due to how the language works. And the back half here is the easy part, right? The others are not able. Able, to overcome their desires. It's implied. And that's it for chapter 11.